If you live in the UK, you've probably seen this image in a few different places. It features on governmental and other official logos, buildings and documents, passports and driving licenses, and partly on coins from particular pressings. In fact, if you have these coins from 2008 to 21, you can arrange them into the royal arms. The new pound coin doesn't have the arms on anymore, but it does have the national flowers instead. So what does it mean? What is the story behind it? And where does Wales feature? This is the coat of arms of the United Kingdom, and it essentially represents two things simultaneously, the monarch and the state. This makes it what is known as the Arms of Dominion, symbolising the authority that flows from the crown through to the various systems of government and beyond. It has deep legal and official status, more so than the Union Jack. Unauthorised use of it can be challenged by laws related to heraldry, though I'm hoping its use in an educational video would be an admissible exception. There are two versions of the coat of arms, one used in Scotland, more on that later, and one used in the rest of the UK and as defaults in most applications. Before we examine them in more detail, it's time for a quick lesson in heraldry. Coats of arms originated in the clothing worn by knights and nobles in battles or competitions, literally a coat or surcoat featuring the colours and emblems of their family or dynasty. These would also be represented on shields, in physical form at first, but becoming more representative as the days of knights in armour faded away. Technically, the coat of arms refers to this part here, known as the escutcheon, and features various charges on various fields to represent the person, nation or organisation. The collection of extra features that we see on our passports is known as an achievement, and this is the full display of all the heraldic components that the owner has the right to display. In addition to the escutcheon, there are some or all of these features: a crest and helm, the mantling, the torse, the supporters, the compartment, and mottos. Both flags and coats of arms can be described with a blazon, essentially a technical description of what the arms should look like, which would have provided some degree of standardisation before the days of technical drawing or vector design software. The blazon for the UK coat of arms is as follows. Arms: quarterly, first and fourth, gules, 3 lions passant gardant in pale, or armed and langed azure. Second quarter, or a lion rampant with double tressure flory counter flory gules. Third quarter, azure, a harp or stringed argent, the whole encircled by the garter. Crest: upon the royal helm the imperial crown proper, thereon a lion statant guardant or, imperially crowned proper. Supporters: dexter, a lion rampant guardant or, imperially crowned proper. Sinister, a unicorn argent, armed, crined and unjewelled proper, gorged with a coronet or, composed of crosses, pate and fleur-de-lis, a chain affixed thereto passing between the forelegs and reflexed over the back, also or. Compartment: below the shield, a grassy mount with a representation of the Tudor rose, thistle and shamrock, all proper. Motto: Dieu et mon droit, in the scroll beneath the shield. Within the garter surrounding the shield, the motto Honi soit qui mal y pense. In theory, this description is all that is needed to recreate a coat of arms from scratch. The exact appearance of these elements has changed through the years owing to artists' interpretation of the blazon, but the elements themselves have been largely unchanged since the accession of Queen Victoria in 1837. Let's take a closer look at the history and symbolism of these elements. The lion is a commonly used image, or charge, in heraldry, representing things like royalty, courage and nobility, and several of them appear on the arms. The lion statant guardant crowned appears as the crest above the helm, and a lion rampant guardant crowned as the right hand or dexter supporter. Note that this is from the perspective of the supporters themselves. Think of it as stage right or left. The dexter supporter represents England, while the sinister or left-hand supporter represents Scotland. The idea of unicorns as a symbol of purity likely has its roots in Celtic mythology and came to become a national symbol of Scotland. On the royal arms, the unicorn appears with a chain securing it to the compartment. This is not a symbol of submission, but likely reflects both the nature of the unicorn as a strong and wild beast and the strength of Scottish kings in being able to tame them, according to Visit Scotland. The central and arguably most recognisable feature is the escutcheon, which also has a flag form known as the Royal Standard. As a flag, this represents the monarch specifically and is famously flown at royal residences like Buckingham Palace to signify the presence of the monarch. Being a royal flag, private citizens are not permitted to fly it. They are instead allowed to fly the Union flag or the flags of constituent countries. Escutcheons are often quartered, combining two or more designs to represent unions or inherited arms. In the UK, the quarters represent the old kingdoms of the British Isles that existed before the UK was created. England's arms appear twice in the escutcheon, reflecting its historical status as the senior or most prominent part of the nation. Other unions through history have adopted similar arms, for example the Kingdom of Denmark, which until 2024 had the arms of Denmark appearing twice, while Greenland, the Faroe Islands and other connected territories occupied much less space. On the Scottish version, Scotland's arms instead appear doubled and taking the senior positions of first and fourth quarter. The historical arms of England are three lions passant gardant. This form was first used by Richard I, also known as Richard the Lionheart, and has remained within the arms of England and the UK since the late 12th century. The second quarter represents Scotland. As well as the unicorn, the lion has been an important symbol in Scotland for similar reasons as in England. The lion rampant was popularised by King William I, later known as William the Lion after this emblem. With the personal union in 1603, the lion rampant was included in the British coat of arms, along with the Irish harp, which constitutes the third quarter of the arms. The harp also has deep cultural and historical meaning, representing both poetry and music, but also leadership and nobility, since the harp was seen as a prestigious instrument. When the Irish Free State was created in 1922, it remained a part of the UK's coat of arms, effectively representing Northern Ireland, despite the efforts of Irish politicians like Eamon de Valera to have it withdrawn. The harp features the central and only charge on the current Irish coat of arms, and like the UK, it also represents the head of state, the President of Ireland. England, Scotland and Northern Ireland are represented in the compartment also, with the national flowers being the rose, specifically Tudor rose, the thistle and the shamrock. The mottos might seem unusual since they're both written in French. They both originate from the late Middle Ages, when Old and Middle French was the language of the nobility and court of England. In fact, most English, or rather Anglo-Norman kings, either could not or did not speak English until around the 15th century. Dieu est mon droit, the motto of the United Kingdom, was supposedly used as a battle cry and potentially also a countersign or password by Richard I at the Battle of Gisors in 1198, a reflection of his belief in a divine right to rule, particularly concerning his territories in France. It was adopted as a royal motto by Henry V, again in an effort to amplify his right to rule in France. Honi soit qui mal y pense is the motto of the Order of the Garter, the most senior order of knighthood in the British honours system, established in 1348. As the most popular legend has it, King Edward III uttered the phrase during a ball in Calais when the Countess of Salisbury's garter slipped from her leg during a dance, to the amusement of the courtiers. The phrase translated to English means something like, "Shame on him who thinks evil of it." The fleur-de-lis is also a French symbol, which is a likely leftover decorative symbol from the days of English and British claims to the French throne. In fact, versions of the English arms from the reign of Edward III are quartered with those of France. This formal claim to the French throne deserves its own video, but essentially comes down to contested familial connections and a historic claim to land in France since the Norman invasion. Edward's claim to the French throne was a significant trigger for the 100 Years' War from 1337. The English arms have gone through many different versions, representing the changing dynasties and claims of the kingdom, and claim to France was represented in the coat of arms of England and later Great Britain until 1801, when the claim was dropped by George III. By this time, the reality of claims in France was untenable, and the earlier revolution had changed the monarchy to a republic. George III's arms featured an inner scutcheon, a shield within a shield, representing the electorate and later kingdom of Hanover, where his dynasty had also ruled. This was the most recent former version of the arms. Unlike Ireland, Scotland was a fully independent kingdom before the Acts of Union in 1707. Therefore, it reserved, and still does reserve, the right to bear a distinct coat of arms from the rest of the UK. For use in Scotland, the coat of arms has several alterations, making the Scottish elements more senior. The supporters are switched in position and each hold the flag of their country. The Scottish historic arms appear doubled in the escutcheon instead of England's, and only thistles appear in the compartments. In addition, the crest features a red lion in place of the gold, and the motto of the Order of the Thistle, a Scottish order of knighthood, is displayed at the base. This motto, written in Latin, was originally the motto of the House of Stuart and the Kingdom of Scotland from the reign of James VI, and translates to something like, "No one attacks me with impunity." Another motto appears above the crest, in defence. This is a truncated version of the Scots phrase, "In my defence, God me defend," and has its roots in a Scots prayer. Much like the Union flag, Wales appears to have been left out of the coat of arms. Technically, it has always been represented through its inclusion in the Kingdom of England, and you can find out more about this through the link in the description. There have been several badges of Wales, the first being introduced by George III in 1800 with the Acts of Union. The red dragon on a green base is well recognised today as the emblem on the Welsh flag. This badge was augmented in 1953 with a crown and motto that reads Adrai goch drai cacwen. The red dragon inspires action. This was used as the central feature on the flag of Wales until 1959, when it was replaced with the version known today. In 2008, a royal badge was commissioned for use in Wales and is used much in the same way as a coat of arms for official documentation and symbolism. The arms included with the badge are those of Llywelyn the Great, grandfather of Llywelyn ap Griffith, and much like England and Scotland, features lions, passant guardant. The flowers of the other nations surround the badge, and the motto encircling the shield reads Pleidiol wyf im gwlad, meaning I am true to my country. There have been recent calls to include Wales more directly in the coat of arms, reflecting its modern status as a constituent country in the Union. Considering the English and Scottish arms appear doubled on their respective versions, replacing one of them with Welsh heraldry could be a good way to achieve this. Changes to the coat of arms can be effected by the current monarch, and a change to include Wales is certainly possible. In 2024, Denmark's coat of arms were changed to better reflect their modern union, although it could have also been in retaliation to unwanted attention from across the Atlantic. For now, the coat of arms remains as so. Next time you use your passport, take a moment to observe the centuries of symbolism contained on the cover, and don't forget to subscribe for more content on the history of the British Isles.